All right. Hello, everybody. This is Jacob Sapochnick here and Marie Portolano. We are attorneys at the Sapochnick Law Firm, and as we do every week when we can, every Wednesday we do a live update about changes, and there have been a lot of changes since the beginning of the year, so we're going to try to catch up on what we missed. H1B season is on, and we are busy now getting our H1B cases ready. So, right, they're crazy few weeks. So many changes, so many updates. So, and then as we always do, at the end of our updates, we're gonna open it up for your questions. And I want you guys to post the questions in the comments, and we will be happy to answer those questions at the end of our session. Let us know if you can hear us well as well, and yeah, let's just jump right into it. So, all right, how are you doing today, Mary? Good? Excellent. So we have a lot of questions coming in right now about the H1B season right now, and we are basically doing a lot of preparation for our H1B cases. We're getting a lot of inquiries from people that are not the typical. I guess we had an interruption in our broadcasting, so we are back live right now. So as I was saying before, those that missed it because we were interrupted by our there's some problem with the internet, so we're back on. So we're talking about H1B changes and cancel. H1B changes and what's happening right now with the filings for this year. So we are getting ready to file new cases, and we feel that there's going to be a lot of issues coming up this year. So we want to update you on that. All right. So we want to start with one of the biggest announcements from this week, which was the H1B online registration that was announced by USCIS. So this online registration that is going to happen starting only next year. And so we want to make sure that we understand like what is the process and how it's going to work. So Marie, do you want to give us a little bit of an overview of this?
Well, they promised they would implement the system this year. It was probably too fast for them to implement a system of online registration that would make the lottery easier, faster, less expensive for the government and for the employer. It was didn't have enough time, so we're gonna implement the easier system next year. So for this year, it's gonna be just the same exact system. You file a petition, and then with all the evidence, you're selected. If you're not selected, the case is sent back, and then if you're selected, then you go through the process. So
right. And so one of the things that is going to be interesting about the new online registration system is that they're going to open it up a few weeks before the time to file. It's going to be open for about 14 days, and employers could register, and then they're going to have 3 months to file those cases. And so what is important to know that those cases are going to be, those employers that register, they would actually have to file. So because the concern is that people are going to register in the system, but they're not going to file. And so to avoid fraud, they're going to be doing, these are forms of attestation. So if people are not going to do it, they're going to be fined, and they're going to have all kind of consequences. So it's really important to be aware of that. But we think that it's going to be a whole new world of H1B. It's a whole different way to file those cases. We never had an online registration system. And so we'll see what happens. What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to make it better or worse?
I think it's going to be better for our clients. You pay less attorney's fee, less government fee. And it's going to be better for the government, less money spent on unuseful H1B filing. I
agree. And also we've seen quite a few, an increase in a lot of denials, both on L1 cases, both on H1B, much more RFEs, and we think that it's going to get worse and worse next year as well. So this shift to the online registration system It just shows that they're trying to have more way to track employers and have more ways to have I guess tackle fraud or whatever they're thinking that they're trying to do. So online registration is actually going to take place only next year, not for this season. But what is actually going to happen this season is what is called reverse selection of cases, and maybe you want to talk about that. What does it mean, the reverse selection of cases?
Well, actually, you have 60,000 cases that are for bachelor or more, and then 20,000 cases who are reserved only for people who have a master degree in an American university accredited. So they used to start by the 20,000 master cap, and then they were doing the 65,000 bachelor or more. Now they're gonna start with the 65,000, the lottery for the 65,000 people, and then they will process with the $20,000 for master. The goal is to increase the number of selected master degree, because they want to have people who are qualified, and according to them, having a master degree makes you more of a specialty occupation.
Right.
Whether it's
and just for those that are watching right now, if you have questions, you can post them in the comments, and we will answer them at the end of our update.
Doesn't have to be about H1B.
Yeah, you can ask any questions, H1B, family petitions, green cards, whatever you want, and we will answer them at the end of our stream.
And if you have a pending H1B from last year, in our firm, we have received at least some kind of decision, either an approval, a denial, or request for evidence for all of our cases. I don't have any cases that is still in between. We've received a lot of RFE this month, so we are working on these ones. And I've gotten many approval. I got one yesterday for financial analyst for a very small company of 1 employee. So if you're a cap subject, so if you filed H1B last year on April 1st, premium processing is available to you. So if you want to upgrade to premium processing, this is something you can do now, since I think last week or this week.
Right. Perfect. So next on our list, and again, if you're, as a side note, if you are planning to file H1B cases, now is the time to do it. There's about a month and a half left for people that want to do it. So definitely now is the time to do it. The other thing I want to talk about is there's a big raid on F1 students that went to Farmington University. We had a few calls as well for people that went there, and in fact I had a consultation today with somebody that knows a student who was also kind of like a recruiter. All these people are going to be detained right now, and again, the issue with this university was that it was not a real university. It was a university created by the government, by ICE, to find fraud in recruitment. And so they were basically providing classes, but the students did not attend. And so now they are raiding and finding students and arresting them, those that actually attended, but more specifically those that were in charge of recruiting those students and getting a fee for that. So Farmington University has been a big issue right now. And students that are either attended or are going to attend that school are basically going to be target for a government investigation. We had a case several years ago of a local university here in California, in San Diego, that were also a part of an ICE sting operation. In that case, they were actually going after the students, in particular the ones that were attending the university, knowing that they were not going to classes or anything like that. So it's going to be a big issue right now, and especially most of them are Indian students, and there's been a lot of controversy in India about this because they're thinking that everybody's going to go to jail. But again, and the controversy is that can the government actually do it? But I think they were looking for the people that organize the students that come to the U.S., not just for this university, but for many other universities, promising them false visas and trying to get them to stay here illegally. So it's been a big thing on the news, Farmington University. So if you were affected by it, or if you know somebody that was affected by it, make sure that they speak to an attorney, and we are happy to do a consultation. So once again, we have a lot of people that are joining us right now. I'm Jacob, and this is Marie, and we are providing this as a free service to our Facebook followers, answering questions every Wednesday. We start talking about the H1B season right now, and that now is the time to file H1B visas. We also talked about the online registration that was announced last week. It's not going to be effective this year, but it's going to be effective next year. And what is going to be effective this year is the reverse selection of cases. And once again, if you have any questions about H1B and if you need any assistance, make sure that you post your questions and contact us via a private message. And you can post your questions right now. We'll answer them at the end of our updates. Anything about immigration, any questions you have, we're here to answer. Our next topic is the Department of State update in a consulate in China. What is the update there?
Well, I have a lot of Chinese clients and H1B particularly. And so it was more for the Chinese people listening to us that starting March 1st of this year, 2019, for if you have an approved H or L petition, you can only go to the US Embassy in Beijing, Guangzhou, or Shanghai. So there's only these 3 consulates from now on who are gonna, from March 1st on, will proceed H and L applications. So the rest of the consulate cannot process H and L for visa stamping.
Right, which is gonna probably create more delays and
well,
things like that.
But hopefully they're gonna be more prepared and more trained. So, well, yeah.
Perfect.
And the Moscow, for Moscow, because also we have a lot of Russian clients.
Right.
A lot of Russian panicked because there was an announcement on the USS website that the embassy in Moscow is shutting down, which is not the embassy, so shutting down is the USCIS field office. So if you're Russian, don't have a panic attack. The Russian consulate in Moscow is still open, but the USCIS part of it, where they process different kind of visa, is shutting down. And so if you need this kind of services from USCIS, you would have to go to Greece from now on, which is quite a trip.
Right. So again, once in a while, we're going to provide updates for our European clients or any consulate once we get it. So this one is important for our Russian clients to know that. And again, if you're watching this, let us know where you're from. I'd like to know where you're watching this in the world, in the US. Just post your name and where you're from. I see people from Elizabeth from Mexico. Just let us know. Nikita is here. So I'd like to see where you're from watching this stream. Next is a new policy memo about 751 petition to remove conditions. And why don't you tell us about that as well?
Well, again, a lot of I would say drama about this memo that allegedly almost everyone will be interviewed. 751 is when you have a green card through marriage and you've been married less than 2 years. You have to remove condition after 2 years. Usually, if you're still married, if you have a strong case, you are not interviewed. The interview is waived and you get an approval directly. Based on this new memo, they might ask everyone to be interviewed. I do not believe personally that it will happen because they don't have the means, the money, the personnel. Like, there's no way they're going to interview everyone. Absolutely no way. But I talked to officers of the immigration services who say, oh yeah, we're going to interview everyone. Well, we'll see. I've still get 751 approved without interview. So I still believe that it's not a general rule. Is going to be still on a case by case basis, the interview.
Right. But it's good for you guys to know about it because if you do have pending 751 cases, it's good to know that there will be an interview coming up soon. And
if you have a 751 right now, it's 1.5 to 2 years wait. So don't worry if nothing have happened for the past year and a half. It takes more than 18 months right now to have a decision. So it takes forever, basically.
Perfect. Now, we wanted to update about affirmative asylum at USCIS. And you can check their status right now online, which wasn't available before. Yeah,
it's great now. When you apply for affirmative asylum in Anaheim or San Francisco, it used to be, there's no way to check. You have to mail Anaheim, you have to call, which no one can call. Now you go to the USCIS website, under case status, you enter your case number, and you're going to have an update on your asylum. So it's amazing. It's a great tool. This doesn't apply if you're in court, but you have affirmative asylum with office here. in America, you can check your case status and it's going to say maybe schedule for interview or in review or.
Right.
So it's a great tool. That's a great achievement for recently.
Yeah, so many people who are going through the asylum process, they're not necessarily going to court right away. So initially they go through if they were legally in the US, they can go through a local asylum office before if the case is not approved, only then it will go to court.
Mm-hmm.
And so those cases now, you'll be able to track their status online.
Which is great.
Right?
More efficiency.
Perfect. What else? I think, so I think all in all, it's been, it's been a definitely an interesting start for the year with those changes to immigration. I think all the talk about trying to get more funding for immigration and the wall is really shifted away from the real discussion as to what will happen with immigration. And so far, we haven't really seen any major changes. Things are still definitely complicated for things that used to be much easier. But it is still possible to get visas. It's still possible to do things. It's just you have to do it the right way, and you have to be very, very extremely cautious about how you do it. Anything else we missed in the updates before we jump into the questions?
No, big life changing.
All right, so let's go through some of the questions you posted, and now is the time to post your questions. And if I don't answer them live, we can always answer them later on in the stream. We have a question from KE. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name, Moldishvili. And this is Kate from Brooklyn. Question about humanitarian reinstatement. After 2.5 years waiting response we get from USCIS, they were asking for additional evidence. I ended waiting for a final answer, days and days. Any advice for any info about this?
They're not going to have an answer in 87 days. Reinstatement right now, my last one, it took 3 to 4 years. It takes forever, reinstatement, so you have to be very, very patient. And they lose the case all the time. Countless time I filed and they lost the folder. They ask again for the same evidence. So you have to be very patient.
Most cases take actually longer. I mean, we have clients who are waiting for work permits and travel documents and things like that, which used to take 90 days, are taking forever right now. So patience is definitely what people have. Karwan Said is asking, I want to travel to America. I need a visa. Please help. And thank you very much. So basically, general question. Obviously, you need a visa before you can travel to America. The best one is to try to get a tourist visa.
But if you graduated from college, you might want to consider H1B if you have an employer. You have to have an employer.
Roxanne is asking, what are the requirements for someone to sponsor someone for O1B visa? So O1B is an artist visa. We do quite a few of those. And Marie is actually one of the experts. So for an O1B, you need an employer, which will be like, let's say if you're a tattoo artist or a musician or whatever, you need an actual employer, or you can do it through an agent, somebody who will be representing you in your art skill. Both of them could be used to get the O1B visa, and it's an amazing visa for somebody, an artist, to come and work in the US. So if you need any more information, just send us
And if you choose an agent, be very careful because immigration is right now is flagging agents who do it only for O1B purpose. We've seen a trend on that, so you want to be very careful if you choose an agent that it's real agent, not some person who does it just for O1B.
Somebody is connected actually to the space, to the field.
Yeah, we could.
Michael, and again, once again, we post your questions now and let us know where you're from. We'd love to answer your questions. Michael is asking, I need to come to the US from Egypt. What should I do? Again, it depends. If you can come here through a family petition, if you have a family member here, like a spouse or a parent, but most people will do it through business or work. So we do a lot of visas for Egyptians, like an investor visa, which you can come in as an investor, or you can come from a job offer. Those are the ways you can do it. And again, if you need help, just send us a private message and we'll be happy to engage with you afterwards. Mr. Jalaf is saying, I applied for my husband. Mrs. Jalaf is saying, applied for my husband last year. I went 30 category. Do you have any idea when they will be able to respond to me?
I-130 right now takes 1 year to be approved. Was your I-130 approved? You might want to tell us if it was approved.
So again, if it's approved, it doesn't mean anything. It's just approval, but the actual processing time could be about a year now, right? It's very
Well, I don't know if you're a U.S. citizen or green card holder, so it depends.
That's a good point. We need to know if you're a U.S. citizen or green
If
card
you're a
holder.
US citizen.
If you're a citizen, it's quicker. If you're a green card holder, it's going to take much longer.
Mhm.
Elizabeth, what about British citizen? What can we apply? Well, British citizens can do a lot of things. You can get an investor visa. You can do. They love the British. Yeah. Chenna Chong, how to acquire an H1B visa for someone who already have a visa. So I assume that you're already here like a student or a tourist. So the point is that H1B visas, you can only file for them in April, right? But they can only start in October. So if you're here on a different visa, like a tourist, you have to make sure that you're going to be legal this whole time until October. If you're here as a student, you also have to make sure that you're here legally, continuing to go to school if you want to transition from whatever visa you are to H1B. So that's actually a very good question, because most of our H1Bs are students here, and then we can easily transition them because they're working here on their optional practical training. But if you're a tourist here, most of our tourist clients who are applying for H1B will have to go back home to be able to get it in October.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Arifili, I don't know what's wrong with you. I can't read it. Mm-hmm. I went for an interview with my case was held for review. The interviewer said we will get her decision in the mail. It's been over a month.
Oh,
all right, so I assume it's a 45 interview, and typically that means that they want more information or they need to check on your case. Typically, we tell our clients to wait at least 60 days, if not 90, before making any inquiries, because they're really, really overbooked right now. So a month is not a big deal. I would just have you wait for a couple of months, and if nothing happens, you have to, if you have an attorney, have your attorney inquire for you. If you don't have an attorney, you may want to do your own InfoPass and check on the case. Ricardo, do you have an office in New York or New Jersey? You know what? A lot of people are asking us about opening an office in New York or New Jersey, and I'm seriously thinking about doing it. Would you like to go there?
Yeah.
So we're gonna send Marie to New York and open us our office there. But so we don't have it yet, but we're seriously thinking about doing it, and maybe we'll do it by the summer. So because we love New York. So.
We have clients all over the place.
But we're coming. Everything. Yeah, we're coming to New York summer 2019. Yeah, we'll do it. Sunny's saying hi. Hi, Sunny. Hi. Hi, Sagit. We have Kandrab Journey. Are you seeing many H1B visas being approved for foreign pharmacists wishing to work in San Diego? And if so, is the spouse eligible? So sure, we see a lot of pharmacists. We do a lot of pharmacies. We do a lot of dentists. We do a lot of medical specialty professions in H1B. Again, H1B is a very delicate visa because it's kind of like reserved for tech, but there are certain professions that require a degree, and we can actually prove it. And so, yeah, pharmacist is one of them.
But you say foreign pharmacy, so I assume you don't have a license, but we still are able to do it as an intern, so it's fine.
Yeah, so that way, the key is to get it evaluated before, and really now is the time to do it, because again, we only have a month and a half left. So.
And your spouse is eligible for H4, which is a dependent H1B, yes, but he cannot work, or she.
Right. Maud says that there's no voice. Can you guys hear us? If you can hear us, can you give us a heart or say yes? I would assume you hear us because people are sending us questions, but yeah, right. Tony is saying, I'm just getting married now. How getting my paper? How much they cost? So any specific questions, just send us a private message. But if you're getting married, congratulations. Yeah,
for government, it's $1,760.
Correct. The filing fees are $1,760. Thanks a lot, and I'm single. And a phone number. Maybe it's for you, Marie. I don't know. Somebody posted a phone number and they said they're single. We don't know if it's a man or a woman, but I would imagine it's for Marie. Gabrielle, I'm a DACA recipient. I'm also doing through my green card. I have sent the application. Just wondering if I should still renew my DACA even though I'm already in process for a green card. What do you think, Marie?
Yeah, I would renew.
I would do it. Yeah, you want to renew it because you never know. And it's always good to have a few options in place and make sure that, I would do it. Rosaline, Jacob, I have a question. I applied for WAWA. I'm still waiting for my 45, just pending for an interview. When I go to the interview, putting me in a hold, and when I get approved, can I travel on the country?
How did you get a 45 interview without an approved WAWA?
So she may have had an adjustment before. So I assume you had an adjustment before. It didn't go through, and you filed the WAWA later on, and now you have an interview. So my suggestion is not to travel out of the country by no means. Wait for the WAWA to be approved, and then you'll be able to complete your adjustment. So don't leave the country.
And when you go to the 45 interview, ask the case to be put